We didn't have much company.
Did her sister drive?
Yeah. But she drove after she was, I think, see, we didn't start driving at 16. It was up to our parents whether we drove or not. My grandpa learned to drive when he was 12 because he drove out in the field with the truck, that's all. But we didn't. I didn't learn to drive till after I was married. And
Grandpa taught you, didn't he?
yes, he said he was tired of taking me around. I think we were married 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And he said, this is enough. He said, you're going to learn to drive.
You didn't have an automatic, did you?
Uh-uh.
What kind of a car was it?
It was a 28 Chevy.
And how did that go?
Oh, it was all right because we didn't know any different. That was, everybody had one like that.
You learned the stick pretty easily?
I could learn to back up.
Oh.
And Grandpa didn't have any patience because Grandpa could back up straight as an arrow.
Oh, yeah.
And he could, you know, the bridge down below there, but on Paw, he could start at that bridge and go up the hill. And straight as an arrow. And
curve up that hill.
Yeah. He could go right up to you, no problem. He didn't have patience with me.
No.
So at night, we had an outhouse, of course. So at night, he would, I'd go to the outhouse, but I'd also have the car keys with me. And I'd back up that car a few times.
Oh, you'd go practice?
What's one thing that you like the one thing you like best that we improved between the depression and now?
Is what?
That we like improved from the depression. That was like the best thing we did.
Like cars or stove or
Well, I guess even the washing machines.
wash machines.
That was quite an improvement.
Yeah. Do you know what a Ringer washing machine is?
Could you describe what that was, Grandma? What a ringer? Because I don't really even know.
Well, it had an agitator like we have now. Those agitators haven't changed much. But you had to put everything through the wringer. And sometimes that water was...
Was that a hand?
Yeah.
The hand, the reef. Okay.
Well, the one that I had it was automatic with the washing machine.
Oh.
But my mother had one. My sister was talking about it. I was talking to her the other day. My mother had one that we had to pump it.
The whole time.
It had an agitator, but we had to pump it to make the agitator work.
Oh. You ran the laundry through the roller.
And then the roller went this way. We had to turn the roller.
The roller was instead of what we do spin, right?
Okay, so that got the excess water out, and then you hung them up.
But spinning it's much drier than what the rollers.
And then you would reuse the water, didn't you?
Oh yes, almost all the way through.
So you'd plan
Unless you had
on-
exceptionally dirty water, and you saved it.
So you'd start with the clothes that were less likely to make you water.
Start with the whites, and then with the coveralls or rugs. You just went right on down the line by color.
You did that about once a week then?
Well, that depended on how often you had to wash. I'd had to do it every other day for a while.
When your kids are little?
Went down and fire cord in diapers, both in diapers.
Oh.
And I had to wash and then I had 5 other kids, so I washed every other day. And that basement was so icy cold. Oh, it was like almost standing outside to wash. So when I did get an automatic, I put it in the kitchen. I wasn't going downstairs.
Oh. That was probably a highlight, wasn't it? Getting that automatic?
Yes. I did have a spin dryer.
Oh.
And that was kind of a advantage already. I did have a spin dryer.
And when did you get that? When you had 2 kids in diapers?
I think so, right around the time that I had all those diapers.
But Grandpa, during the Depression, he grew up on a big farm. How was that different from what you experienced? Was it easier
Well,
for them?
he had the problem, nobody had money. What they raised, they couldn't sell. Nobody had the money to buy it. So they traded. a lot of their stuff. They would have eggs and milk, but that other guy over there had potatoes and squash, so.
They traded to get what they needed. So was it easier for them because
Well,
they had more variety?
Grandpa said we had to get along without milk. Grandpa said we could eat the cream because we couldn't get rid of it. So they had it. They ate the best because they couldn't sell it.
So Grandpa, they had cows and pigs and
Sure.
crops, they had pretty much everything then.
Yeah.
So they could even have meat then,
They had meat then too, sure.
more than you did.
Of course, they didn't have a lot of money to buy anything with it. Like, if they lost an animal, if they butchered an animal, they didn't necessarily have money to replace that animal. So I think as far as their dairy herd, it wasn't any larger than what they could afford, where later on they could get.
Because they had to feed them too.
They had a feeding too. And it was all right if they got getting good crops, but if there was a crop failure, they didn't have much. I think that they sometimes got rid of the animals because they couldn't feed them.
I talked to Uncle John, your grandpa's brother, and he was talking about how they would go into Holland to the pickle factory and get the excess pickle stuff, and that they'd feed their animals that.
Yeah. And Grandpa would tell about how they went to the Warm Friend and got the garbage from the kitchen there for them.
From a restaurant, got garbage from that.
Because at that time, it wasn't what it is today. It was, they did serve food there. And he talked about that different times, that they would get garbage from the Warm Friend. That's how they fed their animals. They couldn't feed that to the cows and horses.
But to the pigs.
Pigs.
They could feed it to the pigs, that well.
Now, I remember you telling, I think this is when you were living in Holland, working for someone, that you would go home on the weekend, visit your family, and bring a bucket of milk home?
That wasn't at that time, but there was a time when my brother had scarlet fever. And he was very, very sick. I guess we almost lost him. But anyway, I was working about a quarter of a mile down the road taking care of 3 little girls at that time. So they said, you stay by us as long as your brother, because we were all quarantined. My dad couldn't even come home. He stayed by his parents. And so we were all quarantined. Everybody that could get out got out. And so I stayed there. But every night she would give me, they had their own cow, I guess, they just one. But every night she'd give me a bucket of milk to take home for my mother, and then I'd see how my brother was doing, and then I'd go back. Yeah.
Which brother was that?
Ted. He later on died with a heart problem, and they thought that was still from the use of sick with scarlet fever.
Because he had the pacemaker, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he died of a stroke, but he had, the doctor had told him when he was on that medication for the pacemaker that there was a possibility that it could develop into a stroke, and it did.
And he was probably weakened from the scarlet fever.
I think so.
How long would you be in quarantine for that then?
I think 2 weeks.
What about polio? Did you see a lot of effects of the polio before they vaccinated for that?
Oh, well, I didn't know, I never knew of anybody that had polio, but there were a lot of them. We got one woman here that had polio.
You personally didn't see.
I personally didn't get in contact with anybody that did. But I knew different ones. I knew one woman that she had polio and she was in an iron lung for 40 years before she died. She had 2 little boys when she got sick. And they, in fact, if you ever hear of Dale Cooper, he's professor at Calvin College, and it was his mother.